Good evening to everyone. And before going to the class, I'll give some I'll give some basic guide to what we are going to do and how we are going to look at the class. So the class is mostly like we are not just going to look at the technical parts. We are going to focus more about the psychological parts as well. So in my class, what we are going to do is a lot of people like coaches, what they do is they focus more on, how to find the correct move or like engine stop choice, something like this. But what we are going to focus is how is a strong player thinking? Like it's more of how they think than the move itself. So we are going to focus on why are they playing such moves and what is the intention behind the moves. This is what we are going to focus. And also, when I ask a question, so a lot of times what we do is I'll set some timer. So in certain questions, if I think you guys have to take some time, so I'll set a timer like for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So you guys will have time to think until the time runs to zero. And you guys can type the moves in chat. I will get to know like your moves, and also I'll put a poll. So at the end, especially if it's a choice between two particular moves, I'll put a poll where you guys can just vote on which move you like to choose. So these are a basic on how we are going to conduct the class here. And today's topic. So let's go on with today's topic. So in today's topic, what we are going to focus is we are going to focus on how to develop pieces in opening. So what happens nowadays is we have lots of opening courses coming out, right? Like we have lots of modern chess, chessable, and we have lots of uh, other databases. I would like to say they show you some openings, or maybe your coaches they teach you openings. So a lot of people will memorize the opening. We know it with a little good knowledge. We'll know it move by move. But what happens in a low level is, by lower level, I mean even levels below IM. I would say below 2200 level. In even such levels, what would happen is they won't know how to play if opponent plays something else. So they will know one particular opening. They'll know one particular line. But if opponent plays some new move, they don't know how to respond to it. So this is because we don't train to think on how in general we have to approach the opening or approach the position. So this is what we are going to look at in today's class. So we are going to start by two games where I'm going to show two instructive games and how to develop the piece. And if we finish the game before time, I want to show you one game of what happens if you keep your pieces in the wrong squares in the very starting of the opening. So this is what we are going to do. So let me share my screen. Okay, so can everyone see the board?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So again, as I said, you guys can type. It's much better if you guys type than because if everyone speaks, it'll be too loud. Okay, so this is a French opening where black plays knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, e5. Oh,
दूसरे लोग भी क्या क्या
knight
करते हैं इसमें
d7.
देखो। श्रवण है बस,
Um,
ये आया में क्लास नहीं है, फ्री।
okay, yeah. So knight d7 and h4. So this is a very popular opening. So in modern theories, the main moves are you either play h6 or you play a6 or there's a sideline called knight c6. So these three are the major openings. But this game is more than 100 years old. Like it's played on the last century, but it's a very instructive on what to do if you're out of theory. So here, Black said, okay, why not I just take the pawn? What happens if I just take this pawn? And he takes here. So now this is a new question for us because I'm pretty sure whoever placed this line, especially from black or white, they would know about the other lines. Like they would know how to play for h6, they would know how to play for a6, they know how to play for knight c6. But even as a player myself, before I came across this particular game, I never questioned what happens if my opponent just takes the pawn. So this game was very interesting to me in that sense. So I'll give you guys around 6 minutes. So I'll set a timer as well. Mm, yeah, so I'll set a timer later, but I want you guys to think about this question and type me like how do you develop your pieces. So very basic. We have let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have around 6 pieces, which is not yet developed. So I want you guys to give me some kind of plan. You say, okay, the knight goes to this particular square, and my bishop wants to come to this particular square, and I want to move my queen to this particular square. So you can type me some plan. But first, I want you guys to spend at least 5 minutes time for everyone. So 5 minutes time, think, and then tell me. So guys, try to give more than a single move. Like I would want you to tell me at least next two moves of white. Like if you want to say some move for white, if it's a forcing move, I want you to tell me what can uh, black do, and for that, what would you like to do? Okay, so last 2 minutes. So I'm getting a lot of answers. So last 2 minutes. Once everyone says the answer, we'll discuss about the question.
चलो
You why? So I got several response ideally. So some people wanted to play rook h5. Some wanted to try knight f3 with the idea of let's say queen e7, bishop d3. Okay, if I play h6, they want to go long castle. So these idea are pretty normal. But the point is, for example, once you play knight f3, queen e7, bishop d3, h6, queen d2, and let's say I play a6, long castle c5. The point is, yes, we are given a pawn, but also I genuinely think like black doesn't have a big problem here, or white has yet to find some kind of a plan for
Sir, sir, he
proceeding.
could have played knight b5 before black played a6.
Okay, so you first of all, okay, we'll look at that. Um, so ideally here, if you mention like if you want to go here, still at least knight b6 is an answer, which is normal play, or knight f8, both. My idea is to come a6,
Sir, we
and
can
then
fork knight takes c7.
no, it is not working
Sorry,
because
yes, sir. Yes.
yeah. And also like you can just type to me, because if you speak it will be noise disturbance to everyone, so just type, I'll obviously look at your message. So here, for this reason, let's say, but the plan is to play queen d2, a6, long castle c5. So this is the plan. And here, if you look at the position, it feels like black is not having much problem, right? Black doesn't have a big problem, to be honest. And he is having a very good position after knight c6. And here, the main question what you guys has to answer is, where do I have to keep my pieces? So which square does my knight or bishop belong to? So the obvious idea is to push the knight on f3, because that's what we do in most opening. That's what we do in most position, right? But in a game, we play knight to h3. So one of the ideas is he wants to come knight f4. And also, if when you play knight f3, what happens is you're blocking the queen. The queen cannot come to g4, or it is stuck with queen d2, and queen f4 doesn't seem much active either. So for this reason, he's saying, okay, if I want to develop a piece, I don't want to block the other piece. So this is one thing that we need to know. So there are two things. First, when you decide to ask which piece you want to improve. So you have to decide, you want to improve your bishop first, knight first, or queen first. This is the first thing. Second thing is, which square is my knight being most useful? I'm saying useful, I'm not saying develop. Even if you say knight e2, it's a developing move. So you can put your knight anywhere, and you can say it's a developing move. But that's not what we want to do. We want to place our knight in a most useful square. So you have to ask which is the most useful square. And then white finds, okay, maybe if I have my knight on f4, it can go to knight h5, or some sacrifice with knight d5. These things are coming. So he feels like knight h4 is a most active square. So he goes for knight h3. So here, again, queen has certain squares. Yeah, so queen has certain squares. So queen can go to h5, or you can go e7. If it goes to h5, for example, queen h6, now knight b5 is one good idea, because now the queen is not supporting. He has to come knight a6, and knight looks bad. Or the simple idea is to go g3, with the idea of bishop g2 followed by knight f4. So now this queen becomes a target. So by target, I don't mean we are going to win the piece, or we are going to win the pawn. By simply, we are going to use the queen to bring more pieces out in a very fast manner. So this is what we are trying to do. Okay, queen e7. So here, I'm going to give you guys two choices. First of all, we have to choose, right? We have what pieces to develop. But the choices here is, do you want to bring your queen to g4 first, or do you want to play knight f4 first? So these are the choices you guys have. And I'll give you guys again some time. I'll give you around 3 to 4 minutes. I want you guys to think. By think, I mean you guys have to say what can black play as well, or one of the moves is correct and other moves wrong. For example, you have to tell me which move is wrong and which move is correct. Okay, last 2 minutes. Okay, last 2 minutes for everyone. So one of the moves is not correct. So some people are saying like both moves are playable, but I would say one of the move is not correct. I'll give you last 1 minute. Okay, so here the point is, oh, just a moment. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now the point is we have queen g4 and knight f4, right? In queen g4, that's one problem. We are attacking the g7 pawn, which is true, but f5 can be played. And now the queen is supporting the g7 pawn, right? And here you can move the queen away, which is true. But if you move the queen away, you're just losing tempo. And if you take, it's just going to take with a knight, and the queen is still under attack. We have e5 and c5 ideas. So due to this, queen g4 is a mistake. And we have to play knight f4. So why is this important? This looks like very simple move, right? You can ask, so why do we take some time for this? But a lot of you guys were telling about queen g4 and then playing knight f4 or castle. So a very small choice, but a lot of people can still make a mistake. So which is why we have to always ask, whenever you see a move, always ask what's the different, what can my opponent play? So those who said queen g4, you guys have to see that for queen g4, black can play f5 because we are simply attacking g7 pawn and f5 is supporting g7 pawn. Okay, so here again, black has lots of option to play. But in a game, knight f8 was played, so we're going to focus on that. And for this, queen g4 now. So now someone tell me like, okay, first of all, f5 is the game. We'll go to it later. What happens if knight g6? So this is a question. It's not a very hard one, but white has some very interesting try here. So if white plays correctly, he can end up being a pawn up. So I want you guys to find it. So yeah, knight f8 is a mistake, but that was what played in the game. And we are going to look at how when opponent struggles to play correctly in opening and how we are developing the pieces in a right way, we can get some advantage. That's what we are going to look at in this class. Okay, I got one answer till now. Okay, I got one correct answer till now. Okay, so seems like most of you have got it already. So the right move, okay, so first of all, there are two moves here. There are two moves. One of the moves is knight into d5, but knight d5 is not really the best move because, okay, you're winning a pawn, but you can win 2 pawns instead. That's the whole point. So you can start with knight g6, f into g6, and the most important move here is to find rook into h7. So what we are doing is, if you take queen g6 check followed by queen into h7. So for this reason, knight g6 is a blunder. So in the game, f5 was played. So now you guys have two choices. So what do you want to play for white? I'll create a poll. So you guys will have a poll here. You guys can choose what to do. So I want all of you guys to answer the poll. So last 10 seconds, guys. I want everyone to answer the poll. Okay. So we're going to end the poll right now. So most of you guys have chosen e into f6. And few others have said to move the queen back and some wants queen h5 check. So let me just explain on how to think. So here, if you look at the position, both kings are in the center, right? Black king is also in the center, white king is also in the center. And for us, we are just one move away from castling. But if you look at black, yes, these three pieces blocking on a queen's side, and this is also more or less impossible at a time. He cannot castle anywhere. So the king is stuck in a center. So whenever opponent king is stuck in a center, very important thing is to do is you have to open the center. Why? Only if you open the center, we can attack the king. We can try to create attack on the opponent king. Um, okay, wait. So some are saying like they cannot see the screen. Can everyone see the screen? Okay, so if you cannot see the screen, probably like you can leave and join again. Everything will be fine. Okay, so the point I was trying to make is whenever opponent king is in a center, we should always try to open a center, because if the king is stuck in a center and if we can attack it, that will become the greatest weapon for us. So attacking the king is the greatest weapon someone can have, because in a game, if you win a rook or if you win a pawn or if you even win a queen, the game can still go on, right? But if you start attacking the king, he has to react to it. He cannot ignore it. For that reason, we should always, if whenever possible, we should always try to go for an attack. So in that sense, EF6 is the best move. Why? We are opening the center when the opponent king is stuck in a center. So here, if queen f6, okay, a lot of you have already said if queen f6, we can simply take knight d5. The point is e d5 and queen c8 is coming. So for this reason, g into f6 was played. And now the first question, can we play knight into d5 or not in this question? Is it possible to take knight into d5 here? Okay, so yes, so we cannot take knight into d5 because e into d5 comes with a check and we'll be losing the queen. So for this reason, knight d5 is not possible. But now, the question is, what can we play from white side? So how do we continue the position? How do we start developing? So now if you look at the position, I'll start with earlier. This was a position we started, right? What did we do first? We improved a knight, and then we brought the queen into the position. And when the queen is under attack, we played a forcing move. So now what we should do? Okay, I'm getting some answers. I'll wait for another 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm basically getting two answers here. A lot of you wants to go for castle, or some of you want to go to queen h5. So in my opinion, queen h5 is not really a great move. Why? I am pretty sure if most of you guys might know this particular. Okay, I don't want anyone to draw in my board, so try to avoid that. And so basically what this move is breaking the principle is, you don't want to move the same piece again and again in opening. That is the first thing they teach you, right? In opening, you should always try to bring new pieces into the game, and you should try to avoid moving the same piece again and again. This is what they tell us when we start chess, right? So here, by that logic, um, yeah, so by that logic, we want to go long castle. So we are moving the king away. So what we are doing, we are moving the king away from the center, which is the first thing. Second thing is we are also developing. And now, as most of you mentioned, we are threatening to take knight into d5. So here c6 was played. So now is a very instructive part of the game. This is the most important part of the game, I would say. So yeah, moving queen in the opening is bad. That's what they teach you, because a lot of times what we do is we don't bring the minor pieces out first. We try to bring the queen even before bringing a minor piece. But here, we already gave a pawn sacrifice. So this is what we are going to do. So there are a few steps. So yeah, as I am explaining this, I want you guys to think about what white is going to play in this position as well. So the first thing what they do when you start chess is they tell you to bring the pieces out, and then they tell you not to bring the queen out very fast in the opening because you lose the queen. But this is the starting stage. The next stage I would like to say is you have to choose which square does the piece belong to. Let's say you don't want to develop a bishop just because you have to develop. That is not what you have to do. You have to place the bishop or the piece on a particular square so that it's doing something useful or it's active. So for that reason, again, we have already given the h pawn, right? So if you say you don't want to move the queen and you want to castle short, but your king is already weak on the short side. So for this reason, we are moving the queen first and then we are long castling because king is much safer on the queen side. Okay. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes and then I'll explain on how we should think in this position. Before that, I just want you guys to tell me like what move do you play if this is your game as white. This is white to play, so h5 is not possible. Okay, so a lot of you are answering. So before going into the move, so let us think how we should develop the piece or how we should arrange the piece. So first of all, what is weakness for black? What are the weaknesses for black? Um, can someone type? What do you think is the weakness for black in this position? Okay, I'm getting two answers for now. Okay, good. Okay, so most of you are mentioning that e6 is a weakness and a king in the center is a weakness. King is stuck in a. So here, the truth is the king is the most biggest weakness for black because he cannot keep it safe. I mean, not yet. I mean, maybe in the future he can make it safe, but right now this is not safe. And also e6 pawn is under attack. And by e6, this whole file is a weakness for black, I would say. But also, there are other weaknesses. Pawn on h7 is also a weakness because the rook on h1 is attacking the pawn. And one more weakness, which I think everyone missed. I don't think anyone mentioned h7 pawn. And there's one more weakness, which is f6, I would say. So now you can ask, why is the f6 pawn weak? I can understand e6 is a weakness because we are attacking. King is weak because king is in a center. Well, h pawn is weak because it is under attack. But why is f6 pawn weak? Simply because the f6 pawn is not supported by a pawn. And we can bring our pieces to attack the pawn. So by this, we can say even f6 is a huge weakness. And the other main weakness, as someone mentioned, is the pieces are not developed for black. So due to this, they are very less active and they have like four notable weaknesses, main weaknesses that we can bring our pieces to attack into. So now why is identifying weakness is very important. So why are we trying to identify the weakness? We are trying to develop the pieces, right? What does it do to develop pieces? Like what does the weakness have to do? Point is, you want to develop your piece or you want to improve your piece in a way that all of your pieces, as much as possible, is attacking all of opponent's weakness. Why? Because only if when you attack a weakness, that particular piece is most active. I mean, I can say this knight is a very good knight. I would say this is a very good knight because it is, first of all, it is standing in front of the king. It is protecting the king from any future harmful thing, and it's also having some tactical idea of knight into d5, which is true, right? But at the same time, uh, this doesn't do anything greater than that. So if you compare this knight and this knight, so c3 knight is not as active as a f4 knight. That's what we would like to say, right? Because the f4 knight is attacking e6. Similarly, if we arrange a piece which is attacking all the weaknesses, or at least each piece should attack one weaknesses, that means the piece is most active. So as everyone previously said, rook e1 is the correct move here, simply because we are attacking the weakness. We are not trying to win the pawn. This is what you guys have to understand. We're not trying to win the pawn. We are not trying to, mate him immediately. What we are trying to do, we are simply trying to make the rook better. So on rook d1, this rook doesn't do anything. So you don't have to win the game immediately. We just improve the rook. Rook is targeting on e6. We cannot take on e6. We cannot take on d5 for now. There's no threats coming. But we are just making sure in the future, whenever we get an opportunity, we are going to take the sacrifice, or we are going to make some kind of attack. That's what we are going to do. And here, black goes king d8. So he's saying, okay, my king is not safe, and rook is already on e1. So if I keep my king on e8, later on this knight d5 will come with some kind of a checks on e7 or some kind of pin. So let me just move away my king. So, and I'm also protecting the c8 bishop. So in later on, I can try with e5 ideas. So these are a thought process behind king d8. But now it doesn't change our plan. Okay, first of all, e5 is not a threat. If anyone is afraid of it, e5 is not a threat because rook e1 is having the queen in the pin. So even if he plays e5, we are not losing a piece. So there's no real threats for black. So now what we should do? We still have two pieces which haven't improved yet. They are bishop f1 and rook h4. These two pieces have not been involved in the game, I would say. So I want you guys to tell me, how do you want to improve these two pieces? How do we improve it? And you guys should type one move, but one move, I mean the very next move that you're gonna make. I don't want some plan. Here, it's more important on which piece you improve first, which piece you improve second. So I'll give you 2 minutes so everyone can think and choose. So this is very important. I don't want anyone to answer without thinking, because this is a very important thing. You have to know which piece to improve first. That's the difference between knowing how to develop and not knowing how to develop. Okay, last 10 seconds. If anyone wants to give their answers yet, who have still done it, they can type. I know a lot of you have given an answer, but as much as possible, I want everyone to participate. Okay, so here obviously, for as most of you guys suggested, for bishop, we want to play the bishop on d3. And for rook, as most of you have said, rook h6 is a very nice square. Why? So if rook h6, d rook is already active, right? As I said, rook on h1 seems already active enough. We are attacking the h7. You can say, okay, I'm already attacking a weakness. So what's the issue? But rook h1 is not the best square that you can keep the rook on, right? So that's why most people want to play rook h6, because we are attacking two weakness, and if possible, we are also indirectly attacking e6. But how do we choose between bishop d3 and rook h6? So rook h6 was played, and I'll tell you how we should think about this one. So here, first of all, there are two different ways you can think. You can first try to in a position. We are almost into the middle game. We are still developing the pieces, but we are almost into the middle game. This is not very early opening, right? Since the queen is out and everything. So you can do in a way like, if possible, if you have two choices to improve, a minor piece and a major piece, and both looks like a very decent and good move, I would say, if I mean, I'm saying this, I'm saying this because there's no tactical elements. I don't want you guys to in a game to bring the rook out first or bring the queen out first and lose the rook or queen due to some tactics. So you should make sure you don't blunder it. What I'm trying to say is, if you have a choice between a minor piece and a major piece, and if the both moves are decently good and both moves give you some kind of good position, to go with the major piece first, simply because the major piece is much stronger. It is having more power, right, to attack or to control. That is the first thing. Second thing here is bishop d3. Yeah, it's a move that you can play, but it doesn't change much. There's nothing much the bishop d3 is doing. And also we have this e5, e4 idea where we are going to block the bishop. And rook on h6, what we are doing is we are putting more pressure. We are attacking this and we are attacking this and this. So by playing rook h6, we are putting more pressure. And for that reason, we should play rook h6 first. I know this is again seems very small. You can ask, why do we think so much about which rook to play first? But this is the difference. Like, strong players will always choose what is the best and efficient way to develop a piece. Okay, and e5 was played, as I was said, this is the black's idea. And okay, queen is under attack. I think this everyone can get it very quickly. So I'll just ask very quickly, where do you move the queen if the queen is under attack? Okay, so what I was saying is, I was saying that, okay, someone said like they don't understand, so I'll just repeat once. The rook move was better because, first of all, it is attacking f6, e6, and h7. While bishop on d3 is still attacking h7, but can be countered with e5 and e4, which doesn't do anything much. Also, in general, whenever you have a choice to improve the rook or the minor piece, if both moves looks good like this, I would suggest you to go with the rook because it is a stronger piece. And also, whenever you can put a piece which is attacking two weakness and a piece which is attacking only one weakness, it makes sense to attack two weakness, right? You attack two weakness and give more problem for opponent. For that reason, rook h6 is a better move. And for e5, as most of you have said, queen h4 is the correct move. Why? Simply because if opponent is attacking, you have to move your queen. Move to the square that you're attacking is weakness as well. You don't want to play any passive moves. You want to play some active chess. So for that, queen h4 is better. Knight bd7 was played. And as we were saying, what we are doing, we are not doing anything new. We are just developing the pieces, right? So we play bishop d3. So I'll again show you the whole game till now, just to give you idea of why did not do anything crazy. So a lot of people wanted to play queen h5, knight h5, and stuff. So let me explain this. Starting from this question, it seems like we are attacking, but what we are doing, we are not just attacking, we are bringing the pieces out. Why it is just focused on bringing the piece out, and here also we are just castling away. We are improving the piece. Again, we are improving the piece. Whenever a queen is under attack or something, we are reacting to that because otherwise we will lose the queen. And again, here we don't want to go knight h5 first. We don't want to play that because we still have a piece which is not developed. So in opening, this is something you must always prioritize. Always bring new pieces into the game, because new pieces means new power or more power to the game. So always have more power to the game. And also, knight h5 is kind of a mistake here because it leads to knight g6. But that is not the most important thing here. The most important thing you should focus on here is in openings, as much as possible, you should always bring new pieces, even though you have some tempting options. I mean, sometimes opponent blunders some tactics. Obviously, we have to take advantage of that. But here, when there's nothing clear, and you have a very tempting option, you have some tempting option knight h5, you have some tempting option knight into d5, pawn into e5, but none of it is very clear. You don't know whether it's actually winning or it's really good for you. But all of that is much better if you have bishop on d3, right? You have a more active bishop. And also, we want to play bishop f5 here because, as I said, we want to choose a square which is most active. So what white is doing, he doesn't want to bring bishop d3 just to play bishop d3. He's also saying, I want to put my bishop on f5 so that it's the best place for the bishop. This is again very, very important while developing pieces. Now, as black is thinking, you're asking, why did white play bishop d3? And he said, okay, my opponent is going to play bishop f5. Let me block it by e4. So now we are entering the stage. So we developed all our pieces. So as you can see, all of white pieces have been developed. And now we are going to enter a stage where we have to calculate and find some kind of attack or some kind of a continuation to continue the advantage. I can say white is better, but you have to play correctly. And also here, why are we better? We can just look at it. Then you will understand why are we better. Look at white pieces. Everything is developed, right? And all I think you can say all the pieces are attacking something. We are attacking at least these weaknesses. And okay, space. I think it technically like black has more space since he has e4 pawn, but that is not the advantage we have. We have like all the pieces more active. And if you compare black pieces, okay, only these two pieces are doing any job at all. If you have to ask me, knight f8 is also very passive. Rook h8 is stuck. These pieces are also stuck, and the king is also weak. So you can just see the difference between a developed piece and an undeveloped piece here. And due to this, we have an advantage. But now comes the most critical part. Till this, if you just follow the basic principles, I mean, I am saying this is a basic principle, but I also know a lot of people don't follow this. A lot of people still struggle to simply develop their pieces. But let's say you simply develop your piece and you get an advantage. But now it's a time. You have to think and ask like, how do you continue the win? So I'll give you guys 5 minutes. I want you guys to calculate and type me some lines. Now this is a place where you have to be extremely precise. Okay, I don't want you guys to give me one move. I want you guys to think, and if you say one move for white, I want you to give me a reply for black, and what do you do as white as well. Some kind of at least two move line. If more, I would still like it, but at least two moves you have to say. Okay, I'll give you last 20 seconds. I want everyone to type the answer, what you guys are thinking. Just tell me like what have you taught till now. And I've seen some lines here. So we'll go through all the lines, what all you have suggested. Okay, so is someone still typing or do you guys need more time? Okay, so the moves I have received, the first thing I received is knight g6, f3, bishop into e4, knight into e4, and knight into d5. So these are the moves I have received till now. So let's start with, okay, first of all, let's maybe start with f3. The point is, f3, black just plays f5. We are trying to etching the queens. And once you etching the queens, there's not much attack. And f5 already strengthened the center. So in my opinion, f5, f3 is not really a great move. Okay, let's talk about knight g6. The problem is he'll just takes. Now he doesn't have to take. Okay, first of all, I feel, if I'm honest, maybe even this is possible, but I feel the most safest is just to play f5 again. So again, I'm threatening to take. I'm also threatening to take here, and I'm supporting e4. So for this reason, knight g6 is not great. And yeah, someone said like bishop e4, d4, rook e4. Black just plays. Okay, queen g7 is one idea, and even okay, yeah, queen g7 is one idea. So this I'll come later. I don't want to spoil the surprise for the other lines. So here, knight d5 is the most interesting line out of all the lines. Knight d5 is the most interesting line. C d5, knight into d5. So someone suggested queen f7. So queen f7 is bad. White is winning. Okay, they suggest a bishop in e4, but bishop to e4 is all right. It's not a bad move, and white is still better. But there's a better move here. White to play and win. What move do you think is winning here? So I'll give you guys 10 to 15 seconds. Just type the first mode you think you'd play in this position. I have received few moves, but a lot of you, I don't know, someone even suggests queen to f6, which is a blender because I'm taking a knight. So here, okay, so some of you suggested bishop c4, which is also very interesting. Bishop e4, as I said, is also very good. But here the best move, if you ask me, is to play knight into f6. So knight f6 is the best move, simply because, okay, if he takes the piece, you're just gonna move the knight back, and this check is very, very bad. And if knight f6, we are just gonna take, and rook into f8 is also coming. So for this reason, he cannot take the bishop. Knight g6 is one other idea, but if knight g6, again, we are just gonna take. Point is, if h into g6, we will take here. And if queen into g6, now we just move the knight again. So now we are threatening to take here, and we are also having this, and we are also threatening to mate. So due to this, knight f6 is a very strong move. But also, knight d5 is not the correct move. Knight d5 is a mistake. Knight d5, c d5, knight into d5. Now, black's correct move is to play queen g7. It's the same for this bishop e4, d4, rook e4 as well. In both lines, queen g7 is the main move. Point is, let's say you don't do anything. You don't know anything. You just take bishop e4, rook e4. I want to play queen g5. I want to exchange the queens. It's a check, and I'm going to exchange. So that is a threat. And let's say if you come here, I'm going to take this rook with a check. So there's no mate. And second thing is, if you take knight f6, so what's the difference between queen g7 and queen f7? Point is, you play knight g6 now. And when you take here, you will take with a pawn and the rook is supported. And for this reason, queen g7 is the correct move for black. And it's the same line if you take it here as well. You'll just go queen g7 and queen g5 is a very, very strong threat. And he's defending everything. Okay, so I think I covered. It's the same for knight e4. Like there's nothing clear ideally. It's not very clear. So here, okay, actually this question I would say like usually it will require you at least 15 minutes to think to even come close to a main move. But I will share the answer with you guys. As we were discussing the lines of knight d5, we saw queen g7 is the main idea for black, right? So how can we think? Okay, we see, oh, okay, queen g7 is a very, very important idea for black. So what do? We say, what if I stop queen g7? But how do I stop it? Then white comes with the idea queen g3. He's saying he wants to stop queen g7. And now I want to take knight into d5. I'm threatening to come queen c7. How are you going to react to that? So he's stopping black's main idea and he's also trying to take on d5. So this is very important. So whenever you guys see a line and you see some trouble for you, some idea that is you're not able to overcome, you can think in reverse. You can say, okay, what if I first stop the idea and then try to play my idea? So this is also some topic that we are going to look at in positional chess and as well as attacking chess. It comes in all kind of position ideally. This is what we call as prophylaxis. So we have to focus on opponent's idea and you have to give importance to opponent's idea. So here queen f7 was played. Okay, so queen d6 is another move, but now bishop into d4 takes rook into e4. With the idea of knight e6, we are winning the queen. And if you play king c7, I'll still come knight d5 takes. Okay, I said the term is prophylaxis. So it's like okay, it means a lot, but that topic I'll explain to you in positional chess. We are going to cover it on this camp in the future classes. But it basically means you have to give importance to opponent's idea. And here for queen f7, now this is very important. This particular line is one of my favorite because the way it finishes, it's really nice. White took bishop into e4, pawn into e4, knight into e4. Now this looks very complicated, right? So we are not sure who's better, or we are not. I mean, obviously white is playing for a win, but we are not sure how to win the position. And we gave a piece sacrifice. What happens if we don't win and he just becomes a piece up? So here, okay, first of all, something like queen into a2 or something, we are just going to take. And if takes queen g7. So these moves are a little difficult to find. I know, like you guys have to spend some time to find it. But I'm just saying that even giving this sacrifice is a winning for white. And here, rook g8 was played. He's trying to bring the piece into the game. So it's too late, but he's still trying to bring the piece into the game. And the queen is under attack. So white chooses the most important square. It goes to queen a3. It looks really stupid, no? Because we are moving the queen to the other corner. We don't know what to do with it. But what we are doing is we are supporting the a pawn, but mainly we are threatening this e7 square. This e7 square is under our control. For example, if queen e7 is played, we are just going to take knight into f6. And we are going to take this rook, and this rook comes to e7. We are going to have a very active position. Here, as I said, I told you, queen g7 is the most logical idea for black. That's what he wants to do always. Here, white found a beautiful idea. He played knight to d6. He's saying, okay, you want to attack my rook? You can attack. But if you take, I'm going to give a check. And I'm going to take the queen. So even though we don't support this, we are indirectly supporting it by attacking. So this is very important. And here, knight b6 was played. Okay, maybe I'll give you guys last one move to find. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. It's white to play, and white played this move, and he won in next one move. After one move, like black resigned. Can you guys find it? Okay, here most of you wants to play rook e8 check. It is not the correct move. Okay, I know this move is not as obvious. Like, yeah. So till now, one of you found a move. Very good. And others haven't found it yet. So here the move is knight e8. So point is, if queen comes here, we're just going to take and take here. Yeah. So the queen moving doesn't make sense. And if it takes here, we're going to play queen e7 mate. And queen f7 was played in a game. Now queen d6 check. Point is, when you block here, queen c7 mate. So for this reason, knight e8 is the best move. Okay, so in this game, first of all, what did we do? We didn't do anything great. We just gave a pawn and we started bringing the until this particular position. Why did not do anything great? He played a basic chess anyone can play. He just started to develop his pieces. He noticed opponent's weakness, which is important. If you don't identify opponent's weakness, you don't know the plan on how to continue. So identifying opponent weakness is very, very important. So he identified opponent's weakness, and then he started to place his piece. So he's not developing the piece first and then thinking about how to improve the piece. He's thinking, okay, when I start to develop, which square is the very useful square or the most important square for a piece? He's thinking about this, and then he's found, okay, maybe my rook on h6 is the most important. And he's thinking, he did not play knight f3, queen d2, long castle. He played, okay, my knight on f3 is doing okay, but my knight on f4 is more active. So I want to place my knight on f4. So this is what he's doing. And then he gets into a complication where you have to show your calculation skill, you have to show your attacking skill, and you have to win. But that is just other part of chess. That is a secondary part of chess. The first part of chess is how to develop pieces, which is what we are focused on this class. So, and one of you guys have asked me, how do you know that you're following the right move? So it depends. So let's say if it's opening, obviously nowadays we have lots of theory that we can learn from various courses or various databases. So you have to revise it a lot. You have to keep going through them a lot to memorize it so that you will know that you're doing good or your opponent is doing correct. So if any one of you goes wrong, you will have some sense. Because let's say you don't have any knowledge, then it's very difficult to find where you went wrong, right? Because you don't know a lot of stuff. If when you know a lot of stuff, then it's easier to find what you don't know. When you don't know lots of opening, it's very easy to make mistakes. And so if the question is about like how to follow if I'm playing a correct move in this kind of position, like where it's calculated, again it's a skill based question. So ideally you have to practice on your calculation a lot. So calculation in my opinion is the most okay, in a higher level it's the most basic skill, but on a lower level I would say it's the most important skill. So calculation plays a very, very huge role in a player's determination of how far you're gonna go. Because a lot of times, even when we get advantage, if you don't calculate well, you cannot finish the game well. Or you make mistake and often make mistake and then you win, that's a different case. But when you get a good position and you have to convert the win, a lot of time you have to calculate very well. So once you calculate, okay, so I got a question. How do we play positional chess and see attacking ideas at the same time? So first of all, you have to choose one topic and you have to work on that topic. So let's say you have to first learn how to play attacking chess, and then you have to study positional chess. And unfortunately, chess doesn't make it easy. So chess is not just one particular topic that if you study, you will become very good at it. Chess is mixed of all different topics. So what happens during a game is your brain also it doesn't store okay. It doesn't automatically switch off. Like when I'm attacking mode, I don't have to think about positional chess. That's not how it works. For your brain, we are teaching it as principles, right? We are teaching it as how to think. So it is still in your brain. So it is still stored in your mind. So what happens whenever you come up with some ideas or some kind of a position where you have to think about, okay, a weak square, I spotted a weak square, automatically your brain will, okay, if I spot a weak square, how I have to react to that. And if the opponent king is weak, automatically your brain will switch to like, okay, if I'm attacking chess, like how do I bring my piece into attack? So ideally, the thing is, attacking chess and positional chess, they are not different. I mean, they are not they are connected. That's the whole point. They have different principles that you have to follow, but ultimately they both are connected. You cannot play attacking chess without having a good positional sense. Simply because if you don't bring more pieces into attack, you cannot attack. Opponent will simply exchange the piece and there's no attack, right? But bringing more pieces into the attack, that is a positional sense. You would agree, right? It's not like you're sacrificing or calculating. You have simple common sense that you want to bring more pieces into attack, so the attack is way stronger. Similarly, a positional chess also, why it's working is a lot of times when we improve the position or when we look at end games or positional chess, a lot of time the ideas are working because it is supported by some kind of tactics or some kind of attacking idea. So you cannot play a very good positional chess if you're weak in attack, and you cannot play extremely good in attacking chess if your positional sense is not so great. So these both you need both ideally, but at the same time, lower levels, what happens? Your opponent doesn't play very well. Your opponent also makes a lot of mistakes, right? So they do not require you to push your limits. So what happens if even if you play a bad attacking uh, moves or bad attacking lines, they will still make mistake and you still will. That is in a lower level. But as you progress, as you go to the next level, they don't give you the win easily. They'll make you fight for it. So when you fight for it, that time you have to improve your positional sense, you have to improve your attacking sense. That's what we are trying to learn in this camp. So yeah, this happens. So when you're watching some games, you're seeing some lot of good moves, but while playing, a lot of times you don't find the correct moves. Why is this happening? So the reason is simple. When you're playing, you're also taking a lot of tension into your body. You're not very calm. So when you're seeing someone's game from outside, you don't really care much, right? Whether the white wins or black wins. You just like the person. You see the person. You analyze. Oh, this is very interesting. Let me like see this move and let me analyze this move. But during the game, you're scared. Most of the people are scared because each and every move is risky. You lose. Or sometimes we are having this negative thoughts like, what if I lose today, or what if I lose this rating, something like this. So these kind of thoughts, they don't let you think fully. They don't let you give your best. So the best thing you can do to overcome this is, okay, obviously I'm not going to say you shouldn't be tense in your game. That is something that is going to happen. Even if you're a GM or IM, everyone is going to get tensed. But you need to get used to the feeling of you have to control your nerves. So you have to be calm. Even though you're tense, you shouldn't overreact. So this is the first thing. And the second thing is you have to ask, why are you tensed? So if the tense nature is because of the result, if you're afraid of result, then you should convince yourself, okay, I don't mind. Even if I lose this game, I don't mind. For now, I just want to focus on the position. This is first. So a lot of some coaches say like you shouldn't think about the results, which is the ideal way. You if you don't think about the result, you don't get tensed. But in as I said during the starting of the class, I was saying, so my approach is I don't want to go to the most objective way because I believe humans like we are not capable of doing very objective way or computerized solution. So I feel as human, we are still going to get tensed and we are going to think about the result. But how do we minimize it? Just whenever you get that feeling of whenever you're afraid of losing, just ask, Okay, let's assume I lost today. It's not gonna make a great change. It's just one game. But right now, if I don't think about the move, I cannot play the next move. So what I would say is you have to just worry about the next particular move. So this happens to a lot of people. Like some people are afraid of losing, some people are just tense that they don't find a correct move. Just say it's okay. Sometimes you make mistakes. Accept it. Accepting that you make a mistake is the first thing to be um, less tensed. Because if you're too scared or if you're too tense to make a mistake, the mistakes will increase ideally because you cannot think fully. So this is something you want to avoid. Okay. Yeah, you suppose series books are really good. Like I think, but if you have to be at least around 15 or 1600 to read the books, I would say in general to understand it on a better level. And okay, so we are going to end the class today with this. And yeah, great books, it depends on the level. So, okay, so someone is asking me why knight h3 in the starting position is better than the knight f3. As I said before, knight f3 is a decent move. It's not a bad move, but the knight is not doing much on f3, and the queen is also passive, and you don't have much play. But knight h3, knight f4 is more active. You create more play for your side. Because you have given a sacrifice, a pawn, so you cannot give a sacrifice and then play normal chess because most of the time it will end in a bad position. I mean, it depends. Let's say if you're a 2600 GM, if you play like that, I will agree. But if you're in 1600, 1700 range, if you play like that, most of the time you will end up getting a bad position. Okay, so ideally for someone on 1300 or 14 to 1600 level, what I would suggest is do a lot of puzzle books. You guys have to work on puzzles a lot because that will keep you alert. First of all, it will keep you alert. Your sense of tactics or calculation will be very, very good. And then, yeah, this Yusuko, I'm not sure who's the author, but there's this set of books called Build Up Your Chess and Boost Up Your Chess. It's a series of books. So Build Up Your Chess is three parts of book. There are three parts in a book. And a Boost Up Your Chess is a next series, where again he has published three books. I think these books are very great for starters. Okay, we'll be ending the class here with this, and we'll continue on the next class. So thank you everyone. Like I hope you guys like the class. So we'll continue on the next class.